Well, hey there, hero. It's David H. Lawrence, the 17th, and in just a moment, I'm going to talk to you about what, in fact, is going to be your King Lear. And I'm going to do so because so many things in history were created under duress. But before I do that, I want to give you a real quick bonus. And the bonus is how to fight Zoom bombing. I've noticed that a lot of really high profile people have been holding Zoom meetings open to the public because, we're being sheltering in place and we're doing social distancing. And when I saw these stories, I was like, wow, well, hold on. All you have to do is change the setting in Zoom for that, and you can change it ahead of your meeting or in the meeting. It doesn't really matter. But I guess a lot of people don't know how to do that. So what I want to do is go over to my Zoom settings and show you how. So I'm in Zoom settings right now, and this has got a number of different things that you can select to make things safer. But one of them is this right here, join before host. Now, I have this set to be locked from the beginning and off. You do this not in your settings, your personal settings, but in your admin settings. You go to account management and then account settings, and that's a separate set of settings that's for the whole shooting match. And you go down here, and here's the join before host setting that you have. So let's go back to the settings. Now that you know where the global settings are, let's go back to the settings and let's just do a quick inventory of what to do before you open up a Zoom session to your neighborhood and then some jamoke decides to start showing porn. Let me go down here to the ones that really matter. Mute participants upon entry. That's a good one to enable. In-meeting basic. So you can prevent your participants from saving the chat. You can allow private chat, which I don't, only because I want to kind of maintain attention on what's going on, but you may want to change that. You autosave the chats, play a sound when the participants join or leave. That gets a little crazy when there's an awful lot of participants joining or leaving. Here's a big one, file transfer. This is one that you want to turn off because it's one of the ways that people can mess with you. They can send items that could possibly be clicked on and contain viruses. Let's see, feedback to Zoom, you can leave that on. So here's one that you might want to consider, and that is allowing you to add a co-host so that in case you have to go off and do something, should somebody Zoom bomb you, you can add them as a co-host. You want the allow host to put attendee on hold to be enabled, just so you can get rid of somebody who might be Zoom bombing you. And then with screen sharing, here's the big one. Now, I have it set for all participants because my Zooms are usually closed, but you can always change this to host only and then save it. I'm not going to save it. And then who can start hosting when somebody else is sharing? If you have this clicked, and if any of those celebrities that were doing their sessions and they were Zoom bombed had this particular item clicked and selected in their settings, no one could have Zoom bombed them because no one could have started their own share and taken over the screen. So I have it set for all participants because I trust my tribe, but if it got out of hand, that's what I would do. And this is another one. This is another one you want to pay attention to. Allow removed participants to rejoin. You want to turn that one off because if you get rid of somebody, they can just come back. So make sure that's taken care of. Now, let's go into the advanced area. This is some more advanced stuff. Go down here to virtual background. You want to turn that off just so that nobody shows porn on a green screen behind them. Let's see. What else do we have here? I'm just checking to see if there's anything else you should know. Probably not. So now that you know how to do that, I want to make sure you're able to be safe on Zoom if you're going to hold a meeting for your neighborhood or for your group or your tribe or whatever, and not be subject to somebody being a dip and doing something like Zoom bombing. So there you go. Now we return to our regularly scheduled VO Heroes podcast episode. So we all, as I record this, are being asked, if not ordered, to shelter in place, to maintain social distancing as the world reels from what's going on with COVID-19, the coronavirus, the current incarnation of a coronavirus, a novel coronavirus. And we're all sitting, waiting. We're all by ourselves, staying apart from people, in our homes, trying to figure out what to do. And this isn't the first time this has happened. This has happened all throughout history. Many times in the Middle Ages with the bubonic plague and with such events as the Spanish flu and 9/11 and SARS and who knows, World War II. Certainly in London, people were told to shelter in place during the Blitzkrieg, the bombings. What do you do when you're sheltering in place? Now, I had a suggestion in a previous episode about taking the time to self-develop, taking the time to improve your lot in life, to learn things, to go through your email and look for the word receipt and find receipts for all those courses and books and things that you purchased with all the best intentions of engaging with them, but never quite got around to doing. So what are the best examples throughout history of this type of notion of doing something positive and effective and constructive with the time that you have? So there have been some really, really interesting things developed when people didn't have outside distractions, then were focused on what they were doing. Shakespeare in 1606 was under quarantine because the bubonic plague, which popped up many, many times during the Middle Ages, as I said, popped up then, 1606. He took the time to write King Lear. His theater company was closed because of the bubonic plague, just like our theaters are closed today. And he took the time to write one of his most revered and performed plays, King Lear. Another bubonic plague thing that happened maybe 60 years later or so, in 1665, had one Isaac Newton sheltering in place. And not only did Isaac Newton come up with the basics of calculus, okay, but he also came up with his optics theories. He started thinking about prisms and the ideas behind his theory of gravity came to him during this time when he was social distancing from everybody in England during that episode of the bubonic plague. Edvard Munch, who you probably know from his famous painting, The Scream, was also sheltering in place, not by choice. In 1919, he contracted the Spanish flu, and although that wasn't when he painted The Scream, it was when he had a very productive period of artwork while he was recovering from Spanish flu. And let's not think that this only happened way back in history. It's actually happening right now. Right now, if you're a fan of A Game of Thrones, if you're a fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the whole series from George R.R. Martin, he's dropped some hints just recently in conversations with the media that The Winds of Winter, which is the follow-on to the last published part of the series, A Song of Ice and Fire, he's been threatening to get that finished for like the last 5,000 years, at least the last 8 years. There was a rumor that he was going to get it finished, a huge undertaking, that he was going to get that particular novel finished before Game of Thrones ended on HBO. Didn't happen. But he just recently posted a very cryptic note that said, while I'm got nothing else better to do, I'm working on The Winds of Winter. So the idea that you can get something done with all of this time is something that I really want you to consider. And I wonder if you can answer this question. What's going to be your King Lear? What's going to be your Winds of Winter? What is going to be your calculus? What are you going to do with your time? And I know this is very similar to the question I asked in that other episode, how will you spend your time making yourself better? But what's that one thing that's going to really rock it for you? I'm working on something right now that I'm really excited about, and I'm doing it under the conditions known as a development sprint. So the idea came up last week, and I've been working on it pretty much nonstop for the last 5 or 6 days. And I'm hoping to get it done by the end of this week. And I hope it's going to be helpful to people. Certain occupation in our population, not actors. I'm working on something else for a larger group of people. And I hope that's going to be my King Lear. I hope that's going to be something that's going to be useful and enjoyed by a lot of people. What's going to be yours? Do you have an idea? What'd you think about it? Give me a comment if you're watching or listening on voheroes.com. Below the video or below the audio playback, you can find the comments, and we'd love to have you leave a comment on this whole shooting match. What exactly will be your King Lear? What's the thing that you're going to do that you're going to really be proud of, that's going to really help you? And maybe the answer is, I'm going to survive COVID-19. Okay, David, that's all I got. But maybe there's something that you've always wanted to do that could change history. Let me know in the comments below, okay? I really appreciate you listening or watching, however you're consuming this podcast. And I also want you to know that if you want to be notified when these come out, we'd love to have you on our list. Go down to the bottom of this page if you're on voheroes.com and fill out the form that says get on the list, and you'll be on the list, and we'll let you know. I so appreciate you watching and listening. As I said, I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th. I thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.